Have you ever found yourself in a battle of wits, a contest of words and ideas, only to feel the profound and frustrating impotence of your own logic? You have the better argument, you have the facts on your side, you have constructed a fortress of reason that is by all objective measures utterly impregnable, and yet you are losing to the charlatan with the easy smile, to the demagogue with the simple slogan, to the social chameleon who knows, with a deep and infuriating instinct, how to play the crowd. You are a master swordsman who has been disarmed and defeated by an opponent who has simply refused to play by the rules of the duel. You are left in a state of bitter and self-righteous confusion. You believe that the world should be a place where the best idea wins, where truth is the ultimate authority. You have placed your faith in the power of the word, in the elegant and beautiful machinery of reason. And you are beginning to suspect with a cold, creeping horror that you have placed your faith in a dead god. You are an honorable warrior fighting a battle that has already been lost, on a field that no longer exists. But what if there is a different kind of power, a different kind of intelligence that operates on a level far deeper and far more effective than the clumsy and obvious clash of words? What if it were possible to outmaneuver, to dominate, and to utterly defeat your opponents without ever engaging them in a direct argument? What if the ultimate form of outsmarting someone lies not in what you say, but in what you are? This is the radical, terrifying, and profoundly liberating secret that lies at the heart of the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche. For Nietzsche, the world is not a debating society. It is an arena of competing wills, a ceaseless and often brutal dance of power. In this arena, the person who is obsessed with being right will always be a slave. But the person who has mastered the silent, invisible, and devastatingly effective language of the will, the person who has learned to project their own power, their own value, their own reality, without ever saying a word, this person is no longer a player in the game. They are the game master. They have learned the secret of becoming a force of nature, a psychological fact that others must react to but can never truly defeat. The great deception. The impotence of the spoken word. To understand this deeper form of power, you must first have the immense courage to shatter your most cherished illusion, the belief in the power of reason. Our entire civilization, the legacy of Socrates and the Enlightenment, is built on the noble and deeply naive faith that the word is the ultimate weapon, that a well-reasoned argument is the key to all persuasion. Nietzsche saw this as the great and tragic error of the Western mind. He saw it as a slave morality, a clever trick invented by the intellectually gifted but existentially weak to try to control the strong. The world, Nietzsche knew, is not governed by logic. It is governed by will. The will to power is the fundamental driving force of all existence. It is the deep, instinctual, and utterly immoral urge of all life to expand, to grow, to overcome resistance, to express its own inherent force and vitality. Human beings are not rational actors seeking the truth. They are bundles of will driven by a chaotic and often contradictory collection of instincts, of desires, of fears, of deep-seated and entirely irrational needs. To try to influence such a creature with a logical argument is like trying to tame a tiger with a lecture on vegetarianism. It is a fundamental category error. You are speaking a language that the beast does not understand and does not care to understand. The person you are arguing with is not a disembodied intellect hungry for the truth. They are a creature of the herd, and their deepest, most primal need is not to be correct, but to be safe, to belong, to feel the warm, intoxicating pleasure of their own righteousness and the righteousness of their tribe. Your beautiful, logical argument, your carefully presented facts, these are not seen as a gift of clarity, they are seen as an attack. They are a threat to the other person's identity, to their sense of belonging, to the entire, fragile, and deeply emotional architecture of their worldview. And they will react not with their intellect, but with their instincts. They will not refute your argument. They will attack your character. They will not engage with your evidence. They will engage in a display of emotional outrage. They are not trying to win a debate. They are trying to defend their territory from a hostile invader. To continue to argue with them on the level of logic is a sign not of your intelligence, but of your profound and almost comical naivete. It is to be the last, lonely knight charging with your lance of reason at a fortress that has long since been abandoned and is now defended by a moat of pure, unadulterated, and utterly impenetrable feeling. The art of becoming a psychological fact. If the spoken word is so impotent, what is the alternative? The alternative is to stop trying to convince and to start commanding. It is to stop trying to win the argument and to start, instead, becoming the argument itself. The Nietzschean master of influence understands that the ultimate form of power is not to have the best argument, but to become a psychological fact, a force of nature that others are simply forced to reckon with. This is a power that operates entirely in the realm of the non-verbal, in the silent, invisible, and overwhelmingly potent language of the will. The first and most fundamental element of this language is the cultivation of a profound and unshakable self-reverence. The person who is constantly arguing, who is desperate to be proven right, is on a deep, unconscious level broadcasting a profound and pathetic insecurity. They are seeking validation from the other person. They are, in essence, saying, "Please agree with me so that I can feel that I am intelligent, that I am good, that I am right." They have handed the power to their opponent. The Nietzschean soul, in contrast, has utterly and completely overcome this need for external validation. Their sense of their own value, of their own truth, is not a proposition to be debated. It is an axiom of their existence. It is not something they need you to agree with. It is something they simply are. They move through the world with a quiet, calm, and deeply grounded certainty that is not arrogant, but is as solid and as self-evident as a mountain. Arrogance is the noisy performance of a person who is trying to convince themselves of their own worth. True self-reverence is the silent, effortless radiance of a person who has no doubt. This inner state is projected outward through 1,000 subtle, non-verbal cues. It is in their posture, which is relaxed and expansive, not tight and defensive. It is in their eye contact, which is steady and unwavering, but not aggressive. It is in their voice, which is calm, measured, and resonant. The voice of a person who is not in a hurry to be heard, because they are not afraid of being ignored. They are masters of silence, of the pause, understanding that the person who is comfortable with silence is the person who controls the frame of the interaction. They are not trying to impress you. They are, in a very subtle and often unconscious way, assessing whether you are impressive enough to be worthy of their attention. When you are in the presence of such a person, a strange thing happens. You find your own need to argue, to posture, to prove yourself, begin to dissolve. You are in the presence of a different and higher order of being. You are in the presence of a person who is so profoundly at home in their own skin, so utterly and completely the master of their own inner kingdom, that you are simply forced to accept their reality as the dominant one. They have not out-argued you. They have, in a very real sense, out-existed you. They have become the psychological sun, and you have, without ever consciously choosing to, begun to orbit them. The gaze from the abyss. The power of seeing. Through the second great and silent weapon of the Nietzschean mind, is the cultivation of a ruthless and penetrating psychological insight. The ordinary person looks at the world and sees a collection of surfaces. They see the masks, the personas, the carefully constructed performances that people present to the world. They take these performances at face value. The Nietzschean soul, however, has learned to see through. They are a master psychologist, a connoisseur of the human soul in all its dark, complex and contradictory glory. They have achieved this insight not through academic study, but through a courageous and unflinching descent into their own abyss. They have faced their own shadow, their own will to power, their own capacity for evil. They have dissected their own motives, their own vanities, their own deep-seated and irrational needs. They have, in essence, performed a ruthless and unforgiving psychoanalysis on themselves, and in doing so they have acquired a kind of X-ray vision into the souls of others. When they look at you, they are not just seeing the mask you are wearing. They see the terrified, needy and approval-seeking child that is hiding behind it. They see the raw, seething ambition that you are disguising with a performance of humility. They see the deep, resentful weakness that is fueling your self-righteous moral crusade. They see the machinery of your soul, the hidden gears and levers of your instincts and your fears. And they do not say a word about it. This is the crucial point. The amateur wades into a psychological insight and brandishes it like a weapon. You're only saying that because you're insecure. This is a clumsy and ineffective move, the act of a person who is still trying to win the argument. The master remains silent, but their silence is not an empty silence. It is a knowing silence. It is a silence that is pregnant with a profound and often terrifying understanding. When you are arguing with such a person, you have the uncanny and deeply unsettling feeling that they are not just listening to your words, but are looking directly into your soul. You feel that they see the hidden motive behind your argument, the secret fear that is fueling your passionate conviction. And this unspoken perception is a form of power that is almost impossible to resist. It is the power of the adult in a room full of children. It is the power of the one who sees. Your arguments, your postures, your entire performance begin to feel transparent, childish, and utterly foolish in the face of this silent, knowing gaze. You are not being defeated. You are being dissolved. You are being seen through, and in that seeing, your entire fragile and inauthentic self begins to collapse. The art of the mask, the dance of the free spirit. We have now reached the most subtle and most advanced of Nietzsche's silent strategies. The independent mind, the free spirit, is not just a master of their own inner world. They are a master of the mask. They are not a naive and artless truth-teller who goes about the world offending everyone with their brutal honesty. That is the path of the adolescent, the clumsy rebel. The true free spirit is a far more sophisticated and dangerous creature. They are an artist of the surface. Nietzsche spoke of the pathos of distance, the deep, unbridgeable chasm that separates the noble soul from the herd. The free spirit understands this chasm. They know that to reveal their true, complex, and often immoral thoughts to the herd would be an act of profound foolishness. It would be like trying to explain quantum physics to a dog. It would not lead to enlightenment. It would lead to being barked at and perhaps bitten. And so they learn to dance. They learn to wear the masks of the world with a kind of light, playful, and ironic detachment. They can speak the language of the herd. They can participate in its rituals. They can perform the necessary roles, but they are not identified with any of it. It is a game, a play, a performance that they are consciously and deliberately engaging in for their own higher purposes. This is the ultimate and most unfair of all advantages. The ordinary person is a prisoner of their own mask. They believe in the role they are playing. Their sincerity is their cage. The free spirit is the master of 1,000 masks and is therefore a prisoner of none. They can be the humble servant, the loyal friend, the passionate ideologue, all the while retaining a core of absolute, inviolable, and sovereign inner freedom. This is not a form of cynical deception. It is a form of profound, artistic, and life-affirming play. The free spirit is not trying to fool the herd in order to exploit them. They are simply moving through the world with a kind of graceful and invisible ease, protecting their own sacred inner world from the profane and uncomprehending gaze of the collective. Their conformity is a form of camouflage. It is the invisibility cloak that allows them to pursue their own, higher and far more important work, the work of their own self-overcoming, the creation of their own new values. To outsmart anyone without saying a word is, in the end, to achieve this state of being. It is to have a self-reverence so profound that you no longer need the world's approval. It is to have a psychological insight so penetrating that you see the hidden machinery of every soul you meet. And it is to have a mastery of the mask so complete that you can walk through the world like a ghost, untouched, unseen in your true form, and utterly, absolutely free. This is not a strategy for winning arguments. It is a strategy for transcending them. It is the path of moving from being a piece in the game to being the one who is, in the silence of their own magnificent and terrible soul, inventing a new one. This is the great and secret teaching of Nietzsche. It is a teaching not for the sheep, but for the wolves and for those who have the immense and terrible courage to desire to become one.